It gets me every time. Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Francis Mayer, and this is the Renegade Report. I'm the Sports Information Director of one of the most storied athletic programs in the United States. It's BC Athletics. We're on our way to year 100, but we're not there yet. We've got to finish 2017 first. And today I have a very special guest, someone I don't get to spend nearly enough time with because of the vagaries of her position. She's a very important person, you see. And that's not sarcastic. It's very true. She oversees 500 student athletes, 20 athletic teams. How many coaches do we have?
Well,
10 million.
We have about 45.
Okay, close enough.
Give or take.
And then how many students in the department altogether? Because it's not just athletes.
No, our physical education courses are growing, and at last count, I think it's about 2,500 a semester in just the physical education courses. But that number could be off. I've slept since we looked at that data last.
Well, and how about this? The Palisson Panorama, the crown jewel of the Kern Community College District, it's been open since 1955, and that campus was originally meant to service 2,500 students. Okay, now we have 30,000 full-time, give or take.
We have 30,000 head count, but we have more than 15,000 full-time equivalency. So, not everybody takes a full load, but there is 30,000 head count.
And we're going to talk about our athletic seasons. We're going to talk about a lot of things today, but that's one fact I like to bring up to folks when they ask, like, when the helicopter pad's going to be installed on campus because of Measure J. And I tell them, well, look, hold on now. This is a house that hasn't had major upkeep, if you will, and maintenance since it was built in 1955. My house was built in 1954, and I need a new roof. But my house is 1,600 square feet. I mean, we have a ton of square footage just in athletics alone, right?
It's a 34-acre campus, so it's quite large, and we've done a lot to maintain and keep it functioning. But like you say, with age comes things that need to be repaired, and when you start in on something, then it usually leads to something else, and so it's going to be a very methodical, planned-out process with Measure J funds, and we are already in the works. We have some things planning. The Veterans Center is already, they're meeting with architects, and the first, they call it a tranche. I don't really know where that word came from, but
that's cool, though. It sounds like construction-y.
Yeah.
Tranche.
The first tranche of money won't even be here until June, so it's a process, and we are way ahead of where we were in the planning process of when we did Measure G in 2002. So the district and the college is feeling very confident that it's going to go. Once projects start rolling, then they'll just run right after the other. And so the planning for one, then you go to the next phase. That one starts building, and you start the planning for the next one. And so it's a busy time for sure. And
people bring that up, and it's like, well, time is such a funny concept. But that was 15 years ago.
2002, absolutely.
And the campus was a different place. We had fewer students. Oh, Chris wants you to get closer to the mic.
Okay.
Like you're trying to intimidate somebody. Perfect, thank you. The campus has changed. Student needs have changed. I mean,
technology has changed.
Oh my goodness, has it?
So 15 years in technology time is, dog years times 10 is what somebody used this morning in my meeting, is that it's changed a lot. So we're looking forward to the technology part improving. So on our campus, 15 years, 2002, when we passed that measure, we still have some funds that we have to finish with Measure G, but it's been all encumbered. And so between that and Measure J, they'll finish those projects and move on to all Measure J, close out actually Measure G, which is really called SRID now. But
she used to coach softball. Now she's a policymaker. And to put that into context about technology, my daughter, my eldest child, was born in 2005. And there was a recent Sunday morning or it was a Saturday, where Dad lost his temper a little bit and said, that's it, turn off the iPads, close up the laptops, we're going to do some chores. And I told him, I said, do you realize that when I was a kid, and I can't believe I'm saying that, cartoons were on Saturday morning, okay? They came on at about 6:30, 7, and then they were over at 10, and then it was religious shows after that. And they were like, no, it wasn't. They couldn't believe it. They thought I was kidding to get them to do chores. I said, no. They said, well, why didn't you watch them the rest of the time? I said, they weren't on, and they couldn't fathom that. It was beyond their comprehension. So you're right. This is a different world.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the needs of our student athletes have changed. the needs of the students in the chemistry labs and the biology labs. And I mean, just the technology in our classrooms needs to be updated and modernized. And that's a big part of Measure J, is so what we can provide for our students. But it is going to take time, and this is a large bond. It's not going to be a quick fix, and you can't build all the projects at once, because you have to put people. You can't just close down a building. You need classrooms, and we got to keep operating. So there's going to be some swing space that we have to figure out who moves when. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. They're putting it all together.
Well, you know what that makes me think of? Just in one regard, about how you said one project affects another. So the Palestine Panorama was started in the 50s, but what we started having students on campus in 1955, right? So this is less than a decade after World War II.
Right. Well, we started with the football stadium opening, but the first students on campus didn't get there till the spring of '56, when the gym opened in April of '56.
And that was everything.
That was everything. That was the only building on campus. So while they were building the other buildings, they used the gymnasium as their everything, campus center, everything. So that building opened first, and that's one of the projects of Measure J, which is a very large project, and that's going to be a big thing to figure out, because it houses classrooms, it houses our weight room, our fitness center, our PE classes, the gym floor, the wrestling room, the training room, the locker rooms, the offices. So
study hall. Where
do you put all those people while that building's being remodeled? And so there's a lot of planning that has to go into that.
And the reason I brought up the age of the building in this context is because people were worried about the Cold War was in full effect. And if you've been on the campus up there, and I'm sure you have, because and if you haven't, someone close to you has. There's 3 degrees of separation maybe to Bakersfield College in Kern County. You will see that those bomb-proof considerations were in full effect when they built it. A lot of concrete up there.
Absolutely, which, Wi-Fi. We just had a program review yesterday with our conference, Western State Conference. Folks came on campus to view our facilities and kind of do a site visit. It happens every 7-8 years, and that's one of the major themes was we need Wi-Fi, because everything is going there. Athletic trainers need Wi-Fi to be able to document what they're doing with injuries and concussion protocols, and our athletic trainers with keeping track of equipment. And we are literally in a bomb shelter at times where Wi-Fi doesn't happen well in cement buildings. So that's a campus-wide project. We need Wi-Fi. We have Wi-Fi now. It's just not as good as we'd like for it to be. So that's a major change. And think about that. If you don't have phone service, which I don't have cell phone service in my office, if I get a text message, which is very common, I have to walk outside and send a text message.
Well, that happens to us. We'll walk outside of Gym 19, where our offices are, and Coach Taylor's way in the back. All of a sudden, your phone will blow up. You'll get all kinds of updates. And much like the cell phone, it used to be a novelty. It's not anymore. It is the tricorder from Star Trek, and our athletic trainers do use it, to do all kinds of things. We all do, for crying out loud. And if you ask yourself at home, if you go to DMV now, they're encouraging you to go online and do it. Don't come down here.
Right.
It's no longer a novelty. And just like moving an oil tanker can't be done on a dime, neither can changing a campus culture, right?
Right, and it's not as simple as, well, let's make it happen. There are, we are already scheduling. Next fall schedule is already in place. Students are registering, which there are classes that are open that we need to get students registered. In September,
that's a hint.
Yeah, that's a hint. Please register for your classes. In September, they'll already put the schedule in for next spring. So we have to plan a year in advance to make sure that we have everything covered. And that's just classes. So let's talk about scheduling of events. And so we have volleyball matches we need to figure out. We have wrestling matches. We have practice times. We have basketball. We have football. When you close down a building on campus, then you put them out. Where do you put them? So this is not going to be an easy task, but it's one that is very exciting to think about, being able to plan the future of Bakersfield College athletics and physical education for the next 50 or 60 years, that we're going to have a say in try to dream big. What's going to happen in 50 or 60 years? If we're talking about 15 years in technology, what's going to be like in 50 years?
Well, now this is we're going to take a pause, and I think that's a great conversation to have in the next break, because you can speak to that. not 50 years exactly, but in your own athletic career, things have changed dramatically.
Absolutely.
And you're right. Going forward, there are going to be some big changes. We'll talk about that next. Don't go anywhere. Looking into the future with Coach Sandy Taylor, Athletic Director of BC Athletics. We'll see you next.